So a lot of time on Twitter, I will get a DM or a question, somebody saying, "Hey Phil, my child is so good. I want them to be on TV. I want them to be an actor." You'll get somebody say, "Hey, brah, I think I'm the next best thing. I want to be on TV. I want to be an actor." Most of the time, I don't have the answer for that because guess what? I'm not an actor, and I don't have the power to put anybody on television. But guess what? We invited somebody who has that, ability to be able to get you into a show and becoming a working actor if you've got the talent and you book the jobs. And that's Mr. Obey Muchipisi, who is a talent agent, a casting director, sometimes actor.
Sometimes actor, indeed.
What's up?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to a little crib. There's Jabulani next to you.
Absolutely, Jabulani. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, man. Look, I thought it would be great to have somebody like you who's been in the business long enough, who's worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, to come and talk to us about what it takes to be on television beyond just the talent. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people think that just because my mother says I can act, or koskolong, they get this sketch, and Barry, hey, you can act because I could cry on cue.
Yes.
It means what I can come to Johannesburg and within 3 months, I'm Tebinkosi, I'm in Tebinkosi. So let's take it back, the process. How does one get to you?
So I think generally, I would like to say it on a professional level.
Yeah.
You need some sort of training, and this could be like a degree in television, film and television, or performing arts, or the least you can have is a diploma. This is like the base of any, I would like to say any profession. There's no ways that you just walk into any company and say, I'm an accountant without qualification or some sort of training. However, it becomes tricky in our industry because the art itself is something that you're born with.
Yeah.
Which kind of like, pose a debate of like, but I know I can act, I can cry on cue. Why do I have to have a degree? And the question now is that even if you can cry on cue, where are you getting the cue from?
Yeah.
Because you need to know that cue,
Yes.
which also then levels back to like training. Who gives you the cue? Who are the people that are around you? The cameras, the lighting, how to hit your mark, where to sit, where's your camera, who you acting with, what kind of acting is it? Is it multicam, single cam, on location? So it becomes very technical that those people that are deemed to be like talented, the criers on cue, are they able to hit the mark when they're given, let's say, generations, which is a multi-cam, setup. So generally, I would like to say on a professional level, you need some sort of qualification. On an entry level, it could be that you have the talent and you've done the theater shows, community theater and stuff, but you kind of need to have some sort of training in terms of the transition from just being a talent to like a pro.
Yeah.
This is when like things like your short-term workshops come in, or you have like a mentor, the industry professionals, finding who can guide you. And there's a lot of aspects, and especially when you are not trained. Even the trained people actually find it very hard to get into the industry, but the base is you kind of need to have training.
All right, cool. So once somebody's signed to you, what's the next step now? So now I've impressed you, whether with my talent or my qualifications, and you like what you see and you think that I've got the potential to be in the business, right? So now I've signed that contract with you. What's the next step?
So the general big step, it would be for me to introduce you to the clients.
Yeah.
So I mean, most of the professional agents, the requirement is obviously like your CV and headshots and stuff. If you have a show reel, so we'll package that and send it to whoever client we think would be the best selling point for you. So the sign-up process, we kind of have a conversation where we speak about what do you want to do.
Yeah.
So then you would probably say, no, I want to do theater for now, or I want to do television, or maybe I'm a soapy actor. So then we'll take that profile to send it to your generations, your scandals and whatever. And then obviously the client will show interest if they want to audition you, or they actually want to hire you, or they're not interested in you at all. So then that opens that conversation of like me then coming back to you as a client to say, does it work out, or do we need to change something? Is it your pictures? Is it your profile? Is it maybe how you look? Then that will be the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Chabu?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting conversation because I've always wanted to know what it entails to be a casting director. And from the shows that you've worked on, which shows have you been? For those who don't know, actually.
So the latest show that I've been working on was Tlabeja the Empire, where I was the creative producer and casting director. So your question is
what shows have you worked on and which ones? Like casting, do with being a casting director, do you have to with all the characters on the show, are you involved in like casting all of them or just specific characters?
So initially, I mean, with the main casting director to a television show, you would need to do all the important characters, which is basically the leads and the supports. And if it means that there are any new leads coming in within the production period, you also need to work on that. The smaller characters and extras and background, those are done by the cast coordinator. But because as the main casting director, you are the HOD of that department, that also makes you the one who decide. So if the cast coordinator has to cast whatever, they have to go through you. And the decision probably will be with me at that point. But there will be certain things that also need people above me. So if we're doing like a specific story, let's say, for example, we did the Maxhosa fashion show on Tlabeja the Empire. There would be like different casting. It's not like a normal casting because then we need models. And these models have to be approved by that external client and everything. So it differs, but the important characters are done by the casting director. And to say the shows that I've worked on The River. I did the principal casting. I've worked on a lot of shows. I can't even remember sometimes.
So let's do this. Let's just dispel some few, misconceptions and untruths about the industry, whatever. Let me start with the big one because this one is much more. It's more nuanced because I generally don't believe that in 2023, an actor would walk into a casting room and a professional casting director would ask an actor, a professional actor at it, how many followers do you have? Does that even happen? Or is that just one thing maybe that happens once to somebody and they tweeted it and now it's become this thing? Because I genuinely cannot believe that it's actually a common thing.
So, the first one to ask me this question. Yeah. And I think obviously because I'm involved with some of the big shows in South Africa, I've been asked this question quite a lot. And for the shows that I've worked on, we've never had to do that.
Yeah.
But I know specific shows that had to do that.
But let's qualify that though.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are specifically looking for somebody within that space.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So the point that I'm putting across here is I wouldn't expect that a Kagiso Midupi would walk into a casting room and somebody would ask Kagiso, how many followers do you have?
So, I mean, obviously, from your point of view and my own point of view as also a performer, it's an awkward situation for me to say, hey, let's say like I was Florence Masebe, how many followers do you have? I mean, when she was on television, I was probably nappies. Yeah. It's random, because at the end of the day, actors act because of their talent and their training. It's not because of their followers.
Yeah.
But then you have instances where the bigger bosses or maybe the channel or the broadcaster to say they want a specific story to be driven via social media.
Yeah.
Then that character becomes derived from like, how many followers do you have? Because that story needs to be derived on social media. But yeah, it is not a big secret. It is happening in the industry, and a lot of professional actors, and you also on social media, you've noticed like the big names are not socially available.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a very big disadvantage for them. Like if the casting is requiring that, they're not going to get the job, unfortunately.
Yeah. So the other big one is money. when I was still new in this industry, when I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do, at some point I thought I wanted to be an actor. And one of the things that we learned was that an agency should not be charging you money to sign up. You understand? If it's a situation where there's something that like you need to do a show reel, you don't have a show reel, so obviously the agency can't pay for your show reel, then you'll have, to pay for that if they're able to organize that for you. But generally, the general term is that, professional agencies will not charge you money to join, right? Is that still the case? And if that has changed, what has changed and what are the terms around that? And
So from my own research, I've found out that the agencies that charge are what we call character agencies and extras agencies. The general rule worldwide, be it in America, be it in the UK, Asia, if it's a professional actors agency or performers agency, they make money from your bookings. So, generally there's like 10% commission, whatever. That's where they make their money from. So the agents that charge, some of them justify why they charge, but it is a thing that is happening. And you'd actually find that like this whole thing of researching on which agency to join, certain people don't know. So you would get actually somebody who has qualified, let's say from AFTA or VITS, asking a professional agent, so how much am I paying? And how much is the renewal fee? Which is quite sad, actually, that, if you're qualified or anything, you have to pay. But basically, I would like to say that most professional agency don't charge.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Another question around the money thing is, are there standard rates that are set, or remuneration is based on what your agent can negotiate for you across the board? Or is it like entry level, the standard rates for all actors, certain level, whatever? So educate us on that.
So this has been like a big thing in the industry.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware that there's a union called SAGA.
Yes.
Which represent the actors in general. And there's also like a union called, I don't know if it's an organization or a union, called the PMA, where it's a group of professional agents that represent professional actors. So when I started out in the industry, my agent was part of the PMA, and they had a standard template that said, if you're starting out, you're on like, let's say 2.5 day rate and whatever. If you've been in the industry, it's 40,000, whatever. So it became quite a huge thing with time, because then what quantified those rates, and what if entry level at the age of 25, and at the same age, a child star has now qualified to earn like twice or double.
Yeah.
So then what happens, because then I'm coming with a degree and a little bit of experience, I'm 25, that child star has got like 3 times my CV.
Yeah.
So how do we, so it's been like a huge argument in the industry, like how do we quantify like who earns what and everything. So I think what has been happening is that like we discuss according to whatever is being done in the industry, and then we kind of decide that Phil can be 50,000 or Bay can be 70,000.
So it's basically offer negotiation situation.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, cool.
And then there's been like a lot of I'm not sure if I can say it's very controversial. So there's been a lot of people talking about how in the South African industry we always see the same faces. We never see new actors in most shows. So how do you feel as a casting director? And does it put you under pressure sometimes as a casting director to actually suggest to the client and be like, you know what, how about we actually introduce new people?
Yeah.
But also Obey is also a talent agent, you understand? Yeah. So having his people work all the time works hard for him, right?
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do get you. And I mean, obviously that's where the conflict is. Generally, for me, I mean, looking at the industry holistically, you kind of need to introduce a lot of like new faces. And from where I stand, a new face is not like somebody from the streets. It's somebody who qualified from VITS. It's somebody, whoever, you've never seen on TV, So we're not just picking up somebody from the street to say, hey, come and act. We're saying, okay, those ones that have qualified now, instead of us seeing and obey all the time
Yeah.
and whatever, let's see somebody new. And I guess in some ways, certain productions are trying to push the new faces, but it's still what you're saying. We see the same faces over and over. When they say we want actors, female actresses in the age of 40 and 50, it's the same people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because they trust those actors. Sometimes I think also for me with that kind of age group, you kind of don't have much options. And you also thinking of like, are these people going to carry the show or whatever? But in the same spectrum, for me, I think, especially with young actors between like the age of 18 and 35, that's where I would like to see a lot of like, new faces.
But can we be honest, guys? In the past 4 or 5 years, there actually has been a lot of change within our industry. Like literally every time I open my television, I will see something that I've never seen before. And I think we've made some strides in that way. But now I think people sometimes forget it's not practical to have an entire cast be new faces.
people.
Nobody will
Yeah.
watch that show.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
get what I'm
that's
saying?
true. Yeah.
So, and also, this is a profession like any other profession where people have to work. And these jobs are contract based. You understand?
And
so
you can't live on just one.
yeah,
salary.
when this one leaves this show, Hana Mereko, so you need to
Yeah.
go
He has
somewhere
to
else to go
move
for. You get what I'm
on.
saying? To go get
Yeah.
a job somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we need to give ourselves as an industry a bit of credit because I think we've done an amazing job in the last 5 years of introducing new talent into the industry. The other thing that we can discuss, guys, is the thing ya gore, there are a lot of people who come into the industry with expectations of stardom, right? Not understanding gore, just because Phil got there in 3 months, 5
Doesn't
months,
mean
doesn't mean that
everybody.
I'm also gonna get there in 3 months. So our journeys are not gonna be the same, just as they are not the same in life. Want to speak to that?
So I've actually realized this happening. I think, let me tell it in my own experience.
Yeah.
So obviously the fact that I'm a casting director and I own an agency, you would find out that like a Jabu would come join the agency because of my fame or because of Phil's fame because I represent Phil. And I so happen to be seen with Phil quite occasionally. And that's where people miss it because then it becomes like a fame chasing sequence more
Yeah.
than working. And you kind of see that those people that come in with that vibe do not last even because the mindset is not like, I want to work. I want to be on this show.
just
I want to,
about fame.
it's just about fame.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, okay, why am I hearing everybody's on Blood and Water and I didn't get the
Yeah.
audition? It's like, but it's not about Blood and Water. It's about you getting a job
Yeah.
and performing. You can also do Mzansi Bioscope. It's something, So yeah, that's that.
Okay, so let's get into the fun part, the controversial part, right? Have you ever had to
I
be on
wonder.
set? Have you ever been called on set to come and, call an actor to order or something like that as an agent? Or are
Definitely.
all your people well behaved?
I've always been called to search for those. So it happens. I mean, I think mostly with the big shows where you have like an ensemble of actors, there's bound to be something to be spoken about. There's bound to be, and I think there's so many factors that affect like what happens on set. Usually on a normal set, you should have actors in their own green room so they mind their own business. And it's something that we've been fighting for in the industry to say, you know what, actually have actors in different places because if we're sitting like this, we're bound to talk about something.
Yeah.
And then you're going to find out that I'm getting twice your salary.
Yeah.
Or you getting like a fruit basket every time, And then I'm going to start acting up. Like, why am I being treated this way when everybody's getting a fruit basket and whatever? And it's one thing about actors that people miss is that that's one profession where people use emotion on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And once you are in that space, anything can trigger you. Anything can trigger you from somebody even miking you and you're not ready to be on set and whatever. And so you get actors acting up because you don't know what emotion they are in because they prepare themselves to be there. So yeah, fine, you go there and they call you and say, this is what's happening. Other things are said out of proportions.
Yeah.
Other things are real. And as much as our industry has progressed from when we started and whatever, there's still a lot to work on. And it could be dramatic actors, it could be the production itself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What's the biggest amount you've ever negotiated for an actor?
Oh
For a
my
local
gosh.
show. Like for a local show, what's the biggest amount that you've ever negotiated for an actor? You don't have to mention the show, you don't have to mention the actor.
I'm trying to think. I mean, when you say biggest amount, I'm already on somebody, and it wasn't a thing. I mean, before I opened my own business, I worked for one of the top agencies that represented Trevor Noah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking like 2 million or something.
Pre-Hollywood.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that's that. But I think on local shows, in terms of like acting, it would be something like 300,000 per month.
Per month, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go. So sounds, yeah. I had somebody got 150 recently. But anyway, so you do that.
Yeah, and what's the purpose of production companies not always just making it out there known that there's actually auditions for a certain show? Because I understand some we know there's auditions taking place, some we actually don't. Because you find out there's a new show coming on TV and you see new people, but you wonder when were the auditions taking place and why when people informed about it.
So there are different types of auditions or casting calls, if they would like to say. So you have like your open calls, like your idols kind of calls where the whole country knows about it. And then you have the closed calls where a certain number of individuals or agents are given this brief to say, okay, this is the show that is coming out. We need 5 of your top new people that we haven't seen. And those new people are definitely new because you haven't seen them, but they happen to be new graduates, or maybe they were theater actors that you've never seen on television. So it's closed within the industry. And then you have like your private readings where they call Phil because they think Phil is the one that has to play this character. So this is not publicized. So only when maybe like from marketing side of the broadcaster, they realize that for the traction of the show, actually let's go public. That's when it goes public. So I think it's also a thing of like, as much as we have agents in the industry, there's also a level of like, there's also new people within that realm. Because besides professional actors, there's still modeling agencies. There's still character agencies. There's still extras agencies. So that brief can be closed within that area only and not be publicized to anybody else. Yeah.
So before we wrap it up, so somebody's watching this at home, wanting to be part of the industry, eager to get into the industry. We've spoken about, training being very important because, it makes the road into the industry very easy. We talked about professionalism and all of that, right? What are the don'ts for you? What are those things that you like, a red flag? Pay your dues first before you start doing that? Or what are those things that you like, or what are that, if you start with that, I won't even touch you.
So I think at the moment, the one thing that I can say a red flag is the DMs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the DMs are very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think social media has made us very available to people that they think that sending a DM guarantees them something. You could be very innocent and actually do not know what to say or whatever. I think most of us, like if you look at our profiles, their email addresses. Rather send an email and say, I'm seeking advice.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. And I know I get those every day. And I'm quick to respond. I have a quick response to say, here are the agents to contact. Yeah. Here are the training people to contact. If you want to go university, this is where you need to go. But they want to say, give me a role on the river. Not even how do I get on the river. Give me a role on the river. Yeah. That's a red flag for me.
Cool. So now, for people who are already in right now, who have agencies, maybe they are not happy with their agencies, or maybe they're feeling lost, they don't know what is the one thing that you feel like once an actor has gotten an agent and they are now a working actor, should do? Like, what should I do to be seen, to be able to be attractive to the kind of briefs that you get?
So I feel like the biggest thing is the actor-agent relationship.
Mm.
If your agent doesn't know you, definitely you're not going to get anything. There's no point to rush to an MLA or Trinity or whatever because you heard Brasilo is there.
Yeah.
If the agents they do not know what you are all about. And whenever I see like new actors, I always say, if you're sitting at home, all these shows that are on television, if you can't visualize yourself in one of the shows and go to your agent and say, I think I should be on Generations, then you are lost because then your agent doesn't even know where to place you. You then become like a placeholder. If I get whatever, Isibai, I'll just send you. I even forgot what language you speak. Where are you from? So the agent-actor relationship is always best. And you also need to understand that you are the talent. And if you don't sit down with yourself and say, am I fitting in? Are my pictures proper? Do I see the pictures that I sent to my agent being submitted to Generations?
Yes.
Or being submitted to Uzalo? Or Shaka Ilembe? You could be like Umzulu, Kulmi Zulu, but you submitted your suits and airbrushed pictures. How am I submitting that to Shaka Ilembe? Because you don't even look, you know. So it's one of those you have to sit down and kind of, check yourself and
Before I forget, this is a very important one. I always tell people this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I always say to people, your agent is not your manager. Your agent is there to get you work.
Yes.
Go find yourself a manager who will deal with your mess, with your shenanigans and your brand deals and you're wanting to be a celebrity. Am I on the right track with that?
You are very correct. And in fact, I mean, in the international spectrum, an agent could actually have many other divisions, but because of the kind of monies that we work with in South Africa, we can't afford that. So you have to have a manager outside, a PR manager outside, some people that actually just handle your other stuff, which is not your agent. Your agent is there to take your picture to Morula Pictures, and Morula is a come audition. It ends there, they invoice you and whatever. Not to clean up your mess. You need a manager for that.
Anything else, Jabu?
Nothing else. I'm actually interested. Okay. With casting, you said you had casted like the principal actors on The River.
Yes.
Was Cindy Latu like the top pick for you guys? Or were the other people?
Too specific about contractual. Well, let me just speak for you. Go ahead.
So when I got contracted to work on the show, I was given the character of Lindiwe for casting. And I think at the end of the day, when big shows are being created, in fact, producers, when they are pitching shows, they go in with an idea of like this is who we want. So those names could be with Channel already, but they want to see more. And I did audition people. The actors know themselves that audition for that character. But obviously Channel went with Usis Cindy for the character. Yeah.
So obsessed with Cindy. Well, you know what? I've learned a lot. I really appreciate this. I hope this is going to help somebody watching this. I think conversations like this about the industry need to happen more often.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of information that is out there that is based on not so credible.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Obey.
Thank you so
all
much
the
for
best with
having
everything
me.
that you do. I'm very
you.
proud of you. I'm very excited to see many. Actually, think about it. That agency / management, whatever. It's not a bad idea. You could expand your company.
Idea too.
But anyway, we'll get there. All right, Sharp.